Hello, how'd you do? Right, today we're just going to do a shave test with one of my, custom razor scales. I'm going to be doing this burr. It's an ERN. As soon as I see this razor, as soon as I got it, I think I bought it in a job lot, long time ago actually now, it's probably over a year ago. A1 quality, made in Germany, burr, registered, Sologen, made in Germany. And it's a Mr. ERN razor. And I didn't actually know that before he set up like ERN Razor Company, he was just a grinder. Well, I say just a grinder, I don't like saying that, because he was a grinder. And he worked for some of the big companies, namely J.A. Hengel's, probably my favourite German company. The only real mark on this that's bad is this little bit of pit in there, but it's one of my razors, and if I was going to try and get that out, I'd probably lose the A on the A1 quality. So it's got some quite big scratches as well, actually, near the edge. I didn't do them. I don't think they were manufacturing marks either. They look massive on my microscope. It's really disconcerting, but they don't affect the edge at all. And this is my first Water of Ayr edge, so I'm excited to shave with this. Sorry if my door goes. The post is late and I've just had a message saying it might be coming, it might not, it might be later, but who knows. There's some more razors actually, so I've got to get it. Quite a big old wedge in this, look. Brass red wedge. But it's alright because the blade's quite big. If I'm being hypercritical, I should have maybe thinned the scales out a little bit more down there. But that's just me being hypercritical. Yes, Water of Ayr edge. I've just got another 8 razors kind of ready to test shave and stuff. Like I did a bit last night, did a bit this morning. And I've stuck another Water of Ayr edge. I've got some rather nice razors actually. Some Capt. I've got a Capt number 4. Let me think. Yeah, Capt number 4, a Capt number 7, and a Capt number 8. I think that's the most I've ever had at one time. So it's quite cool to sort of cast your eye over them because they are all the same kind of shape and everything. Especially the 7 and the 8. You can clearly tell they're the same grind patterns, or at least that's what they were trying to do. Everything's handmade, so there's going to be slight variations in hand. But the number 7. It just feels like a lovely razor, and the number 8's lovely, and the polishing on both of them is really good. And I don't think they've ever been shaved with before. I'm damn near certain the number 8 ain't been shaved with, so I think I'll be the first person to shave with it. Definitely had no home wear until I've put it on there. Basically, let's put it that way. And just lovely steel, man. And I've sorted out my razors this week as well, so I've got hundreds basically, it turns out, which I kind of knew. And I kind of go through them randomly, just through what ones interest me, what ones I want to do. So I've got no real order to them, but I've now put them in kind of forms of order. My forms of order, and I've got a load of junk ones as well. I don't know what to do with them because at some point I wouldn't mind making my own razor, so I don't know whether to try and save the metal, or I just don't know. I ain't decided yet, but I've got loads to drill out to get the scales from. Reuse the scales where you can. You see, it just cuts down, so if I get any like razors in that are not like kind of any real monetary value, just run-of-the-mill ones, if they've got cracked scales, you see, it means I can get them back shaving and get them back into circulation without too much bother, you know what I mean? If I can salvage them from another another razor, like the scales it's just a matter of unpinning the broken scales or taking them off or whatever, and then quickly pinning one on, which is only a 5-minute job really. Whereas if you've got to make scales, you know what I mean, it's a long old job making scales, or at least making them decent. Anyway, I could make any old rough things, but that's not my ambition at all. Right, so it's quite a big razor. It's got quite a bit of heft to it. I must say, I am a massive fan of ERN razors. I am yet to shave with one that was okay. Do you know what? I got one the other day and somebody had burnt all the edge. And what was worrying is, I didn't realise, I kind of did because I kind of knew this, but you can just buff off all that bluey, you know, like where it, you know, when you heat it up and it kind of goes blue purple and all them. Sorry about my tap, man. It just does my titting. Yeah, and it was a bit concerning that you can just buff that off, like with just, you know, like auto sole or any metal polish. And if, like, to an untrained eye, you wouldn't know. But like, for instance, it was an ERN 1166, and it had almost left like a wobble all the way along the edge that had got kind of overheated. And I put it on my stones for a bit just to see and everything. Yeah, and it makes a bitty edge. I know it wouldn't hold edge anyway, so I'm going to take the scales off for them because ERN's quite a regular occurrence in the razors I get basically. See if I get that hair. Oh yeah, mowed that hair down. Mrs. is moaning that I'm growing hairs out my ears, and it's like, well, hello. Can't that be your bloody job? You know? Seeing as you see me from all these different angles that I don't, you know. The light's not that great in here. Well, it's a bit better now, I'll put a different light in, but still, it's like the wrong angles to be seeing your hairs, isn't it? Fuck, growing them out the top and everything now. It's funny, like, I'm a builder and moan about hairs coming out of our noses and stuff. But I think it's because when you get older, you're more vulnerable to, let's just say, disease and illness. So I think you grow more hairs to protect yourself a bit more. I don't know. Who knows, eh? Oh, let's test this bad boy out. Sounds lovely. Sounded lovely on the strop as well, by the way. It was full on. Made a lovely, like, singing noise, like they call them. Singing razors for that fact, and it made a lovely. So let's see if I can go from heel to toe in one swoop. Yeah, I think I did. It's 3 days growth. I've been terribly lazy with my shaving routine. Sort of, not so much over Christmas, the arse end. I'll call it the Christmas hangover. Check that heel, yeah. It's like I've been after a Water of Ayr for a long time, but they demand a high price. When I come across somebody selling some kind of like new old stock, and they said they got it from the actual estate and everything, which I'm not saying they didn't in any manner at all, but I had some communications with the person. And effectively, it turned out that they've got like the stamping machine, everything. And she showed me some photos of the stock she's got. Well, it's tons, like it's over a ton. But it's a bit worrying that she had the stamps and everything. And she said, "Oh, I can stamp it up for you." And I was a bit, "Oh, great." So unless you really know what these stones look like, because I know for a fact somebody's bought a Water of Ayr that ain't a Water of Ayr. It's not. It's too light. Don't care what anybody says. It's too light. Almost look like a downward blue to me. Oh, I've chopped some whiskers off there. Look at that bad boy. I trimmed a tash the other day. But I've really lucked in with this stone light. So somebody was selling it, sort of mislabelled it. Got it a bit cheaper than probably I should have. If I'd have known it was a combo, Water of Ayr, Tammy Shanter. Oh, cut myself a bit there. Jab myself a bit. She's sharp, and yeah, so I've got it a bit cheap, but I've lucked in it, you see, because not all stones that are for razors work for razors. You don't know until you put your razor on the stone. One's a weeper, one's a little tiny nick. So I've really lucked into it, because that was popping hairs when I did the hair test on it. If anything, it was popping hairs better than my Jane edges. But I don't really take much credence into that test much. It's not a real life test. I always say to people, how do you test your razor? Well, you stick it upon your skin. That's what you do. And makes a lovely sort of like frosted edge on the razors. The Water of Ayr stone that I've got. Similar to my Jane. If anything, I'd say it's a little bit finer. But without, you know, getting a bit scientific with it, I couldn't really tell you. But what I do know is it's a lovely stone to use, and it shaves lovely. Because that's the first razor, and generally as you get to know these stones, because they've got their own little nuances and ways, and you know, so when you hone in on your honing stone, you generally basically get better and better with them. Nice razor, man. Like I said, it's got a slightly thicker grind. It's either slightly thicker grind than a 116, or it's just a slightly stiffer steel, because the 116s, like the ERN 116s, Crown and Sword and whatnot, they flex. And they especially flex if you run your finger off of the edge of the stone when it's on top of the razor. You'll know what I mean if you're a honer. It's not something you should do all the time. But every now and then I do it just to see how much the blade's like flexing. And basically this one don't really do it. It does it a tiny bit, you can feel it, but pardon, them 116s, they do it a lot. Must say as well, that DE shave I had, the one, my last shave that I posted on YouTube, that was a tight shave, man. Going with the grain and against the grain. Two different razors I use, but vintage, well, I'd say sort of like new old stock razor blades as well, them Gillette Platinums. Really, really close. It was that close, it actually caused a very slight bit of irritation. Only for like an hour. I didn't think it was gonna when I shaved them, but then sort of about half hour earlier, later, sorry, I was a bit like, oh, it definitely has a bit. Sometimes I think there can be a thing called too close with shaving. Using the old Capt Fawcett's as well, so I've got to say. Capt Fawcett's. Like I said, I'll be using it for a while. It's incredibly close actually. Very, very happy with that. So the other day I was reading about trying to find out more about Swedish steel and why it was so good, like naturally for razors and stuff, and it turns out it's because it had almost like the right quantities of like the trace elements, so like chromium and manganese and stuff like that. Whereas like British steel that was being mined here had some of the things that weren't great for razor grade steel. And it's because razors are so thin on their edge that if you haven't got the right quantities of the particular trace material elements and whatnot, they don't bind the steel. Basically they can go a bit too brittle or a bit too soft, whereas Swedish steel had near the right quantities of manganese and chromium, I think it was. And then I was reading about how they sort of used to heat it up and do different processes to it to get the carbon content down and stuff. Really bloody interesting, man. Like now they just take whatever they want out of things and put it together like a proper old recipe sort of thing as in cooking, which is great, but I don't know, I think you end up with soulless metal in a way. I don't know, I kind of think that. Like I said before, I've had a few like newish Dovos and that, and they don't feel great on the stones. They don't feel great to feel. I just don't know. They don't feel right. But I don't know. That might just be me. Well, I'm really happy with that though. It was one of my first sort of custom scales I did. I did them a long time ago. Centre's a tiny little bit off centre, but yeah, it's a lovely razor. I'll be keeping that for a good while, I think. Maybe one of my lifetime keep. We'll see, eh? We'll see. Keep saying that and I'll get more bloody razors in that I want to keep, so that's the problem, isn't it, eh? I think that's the problem a lot of us face with these razors. But that's a good one. I wouldn't be surprised if that was Swedish steel, really. I was trying to hook that up. There we go. Mrs is trying to move my little shaving towel around so it's not near her stuff. The forever battle. And I was also reading about how some German companies, they bought mines in Sweden so they could guarantee good steel and stuff for their razors. And then the British and the Germans as well, I think, they basically did like these massive trade deals, like trading various other goods with the Swedish government at the time. Or the royal family actually, I'm not too sure the Swedish setup, but whoever was in control. And yeah, so they used to basically guarantee their stock. And the British companies, man, they were like doing 20 tonne a year of like the iron ore and everything. So when people say, oh, Sheffield steel was good and everything, it's actually because a lot of it was bloody Swedish steel. Especially like the good makes. Like I know for a fact George, Wallace Home, they imported a lot. And all the big boys, they must have done, man. You know what I mean? They were all cahooting with one another and competing against one another as well. That's what you need to always remember. You know, they were basically like a gang of men. These companies, these Sheffield companies. And as much as they were competing against each other, they were cahooting together to compete on the world stage as well. So, you know, they'd have had a lot of clout, man. You know what I mean? They'd have had a lot of clout because it weren't just razors that were big in that time, was it? You know, you had like cavalry swords, you know, and just the whole cutlery trade, man. It's like if you look at them world expos in the 1800s and that whatnot, it's just absolutely mind-boggling. Some of the things that they invented and pushed upon sort of like, you know, consumerism of the day. For instance, like, you know, like I grew up thinking Swiss Army knives, yeah, like the Swiss, and you know they still make a good Swiss Army knife. But seriously, you should look at some of the ones the Sheffield makers were making. You know, they had like a Swiss Army knife that, I ain't kidding you, had hundreds of tools in it, and they had them in these display cabinets and everything. You can find them online. It's amazing. You know, and I didn't know they did that. Who did though? Do you know what I mean? It's well over 100 years ago. Well, it's a good shave. It's nice and tight. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if that was Swedish steel, that one, because it definitely acted like it, and it's definitely took a fine, sharp edge. And it shaves mighty well. But like all ERNs do, man, like I said, I've never come across a bad one. You know, I've had 7/8s, like them gong ones that I passed on, great razors. You know, they were 7/8s, that's quite a big razor. And then I've had like little Barton one, that's like nearly 4/8s. Still a great razor. I'm not sizist with razors. I do prefer razors over 6/8s, like I've said before, but I'm not sizist. Right, gonna love you and leave you. I hope you've had a good day. A good day sometimes can always start with a good shave. Whether it's a straight razor or a DE, you're always going to get a satisfactory result if you get your prep right, your blade right, your edge right, all of the above. And your lovely jubbly. Right, gonna love you and leave you. I'll see you again soon, maybe. Toodaloo.